Suspect limpet engaged.
Got my limpets, don't forget your limpets. Gonna scoop up a rock or two. I got a blaster, don't forget your blaster. Dig them out when you blow it true. Searching up the skies for an overlap. A carrier will soon be mine. Keeping miles peeled for those empty squares. Pirates are about all the time. A cobra, wanna get a cutter, but this rank, you know. I get the credits, head out to an gallon, right to the top of the class I'll go. Searching all the trees for an overlap, looking for an orangey glow. When the top is full, I'll head out of here, somewhere where the pirates don't know. Check in our look out, mother load is gonna blow. Get back, stay back, these border holes are mine, you know.
Hello, and welcome to Elite Week. As we've been looking at this through the beta, obviously doing a regular Elite Week makes no sense because the whole thing will just be this person said something about fleet carriers and then this person said something about fleet carriers. So this week will be the last sort of odd week because this will be the end of beta 1. Next week we'll be back to our regular schedule. We will then probably have special coverage for beta week 2 or beta 2 as well. But today I wanted to do something a little different. I want to say the unpopular thing. I want to do what's pretty stupid really when you're trying to grow a YouTube channel that has like next to no followers and turn it into a thing. I'm going to tell you guys why the most unpopular opinion in the room might be right. And joining me is LeWeise, Commander Ben Moss-Woodward, Ben Moss-Woodward, Commander Edelweiss of LAVE Radio. And he's going to be my conscience. He's going to speak for you guys. And if I make sense and it sort of convinces him, well then, awesome. And if I don't, he's going to argue against it, and we're just going to take it from there. You ready, Ben?
Bear in mind, this is being recorded at about 11 o'clock after I've been at work all day and I'm going to work in the morning. So I'm not the most awake at the moment, but let's bring it on.
All right. Well, we haven't set this up ahead of time. We haven't sort of arranged this. You don't really know what I'm going to say. So I'm just going to hit you with it, and we're going to have a real, frank, and honest discussion and see where we end up at the end.
Yeah.
Ready? All right.
Yeah.
So right now, there are sort of two camps with regard to the feedback on the forum, and I feel like there's a big sentiment with the Elite Dangerous community in general. And one group is saying, okay, you've lowered the upkeep cost by a lot, and now it's sort of in a manageable range, and I am happy with this. The other group is saying upkeep costs are anathema to fun. I don't want this ever. Upkeep costs need to be 0%. I'm not going to be happy until I get what I want. Would you say that's a fairly accurate summation of sort of the two viewpoints on the matter?
If you take them to extremes, yeah.
Yeah. And that's what the internet is for, taking things to extremes. So, all right. I'm going to make, like I said, the unpopular argument. Here is why I feel that upkeep costs are good and should remain on fleet carriers. And I'm going to say this with two provisions. The first is those upkeep costs need to be sane and reasonable, which I feel that after the changes that they've made, they are now, with the massive reduction, so that the upkeep costs, I believe on a fully kitted out carrier, are like 21 to 22 million a week. And that's with every service enabled. So obviously, if you are a commander who says, okay, I'm going to leave off this, and this because they don't fit my play style or my use case, I'm going to have, these 4 services and not those 3, you're going to expect to pay, 18, 19 million a week. And I feel that is good and necessary. I feel that before, when it was at 147 million a week, I was not defending that. That was not what I feel is good gameplay. The second point, and we'll get to that later, or towards the end, is I feel like there needs to be a look and a modification made to the entire decommissioning process. That's a thing that needs a little tweaking, and we'll get to that. But here is why the upkeep in general is good and I feel should stay. So Alec Turner today asked in the Discord, in the Loose Screws Discord, what's the point of upkeep cost anyways? And I said, well, there's a couple points to it. Number one, it's a money sink, and that is a thing that sort of Frontier needs to figure out a way to start to remove some of the money from the economy in general. Number two, it provides a sort of an external balance. And when I say an external balance, I mean that everything in Elite Dangerous is built around sort of the concept of balance. You can have an amazing cutter that is like the best trade hauler in the game, but it turns like a stuffed pig. Or you can have the best PvE killer vet build that'll just rip apart a Haz-Res, no problem, no questions. But if you try to, jump more than 15 feet with it, the frameshift drive just taps out. Everything has balance. Whenever you have pluses, you have to have minuses to sort of even things out. That's the way they do it. Now, if you have a fleet carrier, you're talking about a whole lot of pluses. You're talking about the ability to have a player-owned station that can project force anywhere. You're talking about the ability to jump 500 light years and get access to places that, even an Anaconda with a buff from the what do you call it, the jet cone, you can get 337 or whatever. You can't get 400. You can't get 450. You just can't ever. You have the ability to have 25,000 1,000 tons of storage. You can, put 30 T9s worth of fully loaded stuff and be like, okay, I can hold that, no problem. I can swap this around, I can do whatever. You have the ability to do direct player-to-player trading. That is a thing that is a freedom that, maybe will have a use case, maybe will be awesome, maybe will have limited use. This all depends. It's all sort of to be seen, but you have a lot of things that you can do with this. And if you have all of those things, all of those pluses, and no minus, you have unprecedented pluses without sort of any new higher level minuses, then basically everyone that does not have their own fleet carrier is left behind, because I have more power than you and I have no other cost weighing it down. Therefore, I have an advantage over you. And Elite Dangerous doesn't sort of play that way. Elite Dangerous is sort of meant to that everything balances out. Where there's a plus, there's also a minus. And then your mileage may vary. Some people might enjoy flying a cutter. Some people might enjoy flying a Cobra. Whatever it is that is sort of your thing, there's going to be pluses, there's going to be minuses. The third thing in favor of that I said in favor of why you have an upkeep cost is for, lore or immersion, however you want to say it. You have a floating city in space. You have a massive sort of player-owned space station, let's be honest, that keeps working and does stuff even if you're not there. You can log off and your friends can jump over and they can repair and they can trade and they can, swap out ships, or they could do all kinds of things. And, people say, well, my ship doesn't have upkeep. I say bullshit. Your ships right now have upkeep. Every time when you dock, you're going to repair the armor. You're going to reload the ammo. You're going to refuel the ship. You're going to, you have an upkeep cost with regard to your crew member that, you have to pay them a portion of, all of the money that you earn while you're doing stuff, because that's how that works. Well, this is a much bigger crew in a much bigger facility that has a much broader scope that can do all kinds of things while you're asleep. So yeah, there's gonna be an upkeep cost. So those were the initial arguments, and I feel like those arguments are pretty much understood by people. And the response that they give back is they say, okay, well, yeah, fine, all right, immersion, whatever. That sounds like good gameplay, good game design, real good game design. Like, it's just not fun, and that's the point. So the people that are saying fuck upkeep in general are the people that are saying it's just not fun. It's poor design. It's punishing for no reason. And that brings me to my fourth and I think biggest point why upkeep costs are good and should remain in the game. And that is, we've talked already about the external balance. Now let's talk about internal balance. Let's talk about gameplay. I know you said, Ben, on this week's LAVE Radio, you've been playing a lot of, what was it, Call of Duty or something lately?
Yeah, I was playing a wee bit of Call of Duty with my son and friends and things, yeah.
Right on. If you were to load up Call of Duty, right, and you had a new God mode that gave you a personal force field all around your body, and every shot you made was a headshot, and you had unlimited ammo, I think you would probably have the most fun playing Call of Duty you've ever had for about 15 minutes.
I was going to say, that would suck, I think, but yeah, okay.
Well, I mean, no, it would be hilarious and funny and fun for like 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah, it would get very
And then
old
you
very
would
quick.
turn it off, and you would never play that game again. Why? Because you cannot win a game that you cannot lose. You have to have some form of a balance. If there's no mechanics, if there's no risk, if there's no loss that you are actively trying to use your skill and planning and forethought and resources to avoid, there's no point. Now, if you take fleet carriers and say this is a massive floating city in space that can do trading, can do storage, can do all these things, can jump 500 light years in one go, can do all this stuff it can do, and there's absolutely no downside whatsoever. There is no way to lose money because you could just ignore it and fuck off for 10 years and come back and it's going to be sitting right there perfectly good, just like it was before. You have no loss, you have no risk, you have no challenge, you have no like, I don't know, you have no purpose, man. Like, go back to the old days with World of Warcraft, man. Like, it's like back around the time of like Burning Crusade, Wrath of the Lich King, somewhere in there were a lot of whiners on the forums that were saying, it's too hard. I don't like that the Shadow Priest could do this, and I don't like that the, Shaman could do that, and my class can't do that. And they're like, okay, we're going to give everybody on both sides, everybody can have Shaman, everybody can have Paladins. This class can do that. Okay, we're going to sort of dumb it down. We're going to make it all sort of even. We're going to even it all out, and we're going to lower the challenge. We're going to make it to where even the scrubs can get through the higher tier raids. It'll all be good. We're going to hold your hands. We're going to whatever. And by catering to the whiners who wanted it easier, who wanted it, I want to be able to do this without having to farm mats. I want to do this without having to do extra work. I don't like that. I'm not having fun with that. Make it easier for me. A lot of the hardcore players who wanted the challenge, who thrived on that, who enjoyed putting in the work and then showing off what they could do. Those guys.
Ironically enough, actually, I classed myself in that account. Before Cataclysm, I wasn't in the server's best raiding guild, but we were raiding Molten Core and Onyxia and things like that back in original WoW. Then we went off and we did all the Burning Crusade stuff. We did all the Frozen.
Ice Crown. Citadel and all that.
What was that expansion pack called?
Wrath of the Lich King.
Wrath of the Lich King, that's it. We did all that, and then we had Cataclysm, and it's like, hey, cool, we can go off and use our flying mounts around Azeroth. Awesome.
Was it though? Was it awesome? No, I think it was awesome really, for a day, and then it took the fun out of it.
It was awesome in a different way, because you're still, as you're leveling up, you don't have your flying mount. But us riding around just level 70s or 80s or whatever it was, on our flying mounts, that was great, and it was lovely seeing Stormwind and things like that from the air. But that's getting off topic a wee bitty.
But I mean, the novelty of it.
What I was going to say though was, I skipped about one raid into Cataclysm.
Was it too easy?
It was shit. It was just
they took the flavor out, right?
Yeah, it was just like, I'm sorry, this is exactly the same as I've been doing before. I'm just back on the treadmill. There's no real challenge. There's no real coordination.
Wait a second. Are you saying that as a player of games, you actually prefer a challenge? You prefer having to use strategy and think and work and figure stuff out and find the benefits and eke out an advantage over the norm, as opposed to just everybody wins, here's your sticker?
You don't want to roll your face across the keyboard and win. That sucks.
Right. Well, what would a fleet carrier with all of its abilities and powers be if it had absolutely zero upkeep, absolutely zero downside, absolutely zero sort of balance that you have to figure out a way to counteract? So let me tell you something.
It would equally suck.
Right. Let me tell you, if Frontier were to cater to the whiners right now and say, all right, you guys really want zero upkeep, here's zero upkeep. Let me ask you a question, Ben. What's going to be the difference between your fleet carrier and everyone else's? Because unless you're a fucking idiot, you're going to have every service on your fleet carrier, as will everyone else.
Yeah.
There's going to be no sort of, okay, because like as it stands right now, even with the reduced cost, okay, I'm never buying a black market because I don't intend to purchase stolen goods from other people. I'll store my own stolen goods and sell it when I can, but I can do that in storage. I'll never, ever, ever buy the black market. By the way, Frontier, it's called a black market. It's not called a secure warehouse because we know this because it already exists in the game and it's called a black market. But I'm never going to buy the black market, okay? I'm probably not going to buy outfitting because what I'm going to do, I have the ability with the shipyard to bring 40 of my own ships and 10 of each and every one of my friends' ships onto there. So with 40 ships, I'm going to have, you know, with maybe at most I can think of 20 different ships that I would need to cover everything. And I'm talking about, I'll have a cutter that's kitted out for mining and engineered. I'll have a separate cutter that's kitted out for just running max haulage and engineered. I'll have, you know, a sort of AX version of this ship and a regular Hazres version of that same ship. Like, there's no need for me to buy the extra service of outfitting because I don't need it. So if I plan ahead, if I use my smarts, if I have a plan, if I work at it a little more, I can save myself an expense. You know, so there's 2 right there I'm not going to have. And I can tell you, there's a couple more I'm not going to have. And why is that? Well, because I'm going to have a very specific use case and I'm going to tailor my ship to my use case. If you got rid of upkeep costs altogether, if they're just gone tomorrow, well, I'm going to have everything because you'd be stupid not to. Right?
Yeah, mic's back on. Yeah, totally agree there.
So
I think my biggest problem, I don't have an issue with upkeep costs so long as I'm actively using them.
Okay. So let's look at that.
Well, my biggest issue is if I go off on holiday for sake of argument and I'm away for 2-3 weeks, I come back and I could have, we're looking at about 40 million now a week, is it?
No. For a fully kitted out one, it's somewhere between 21.5 and 22.5 million.
Let's call it 20 million then.
Sure.
So yeah, at the end of 3 weeks, I'm looking at 60 million. I need to make sure I've got 60 million in the bank, basically.
Okay.
And I have done absolutely nothing with that. Now, theoretically, as I think you're about to say, I could have that in somewhere and potentially people could be using my fleet carrier and making some profit like that. I think we need to see how that works out.
Oh, I can tell you already how that's going to work out. You want me to tell you how it's going to work out?
My gut call is it's not, but let's see.
Here's exactly how it's going to work out.'re going to be losing money every week.
Yeah.
You're not going to make money off of a fleet carrier without. There's only going to be there's only going to be one use case where you generate, like, just wildly generate revenue with a fleet carrier, and that's if you stop playing Elite Dangerous and start playing Fleet Carrier Management 2020. if you do that, and hey, look. That's awesome. There might be some people that they're like, oh, I've been waiting for this. I cannot wait to be my own floating Walmart. This is going to be awesome. And God bless you. If that gives you joy, you go do that.
I would be very interested to see if anybody could actually turn a profit purely using a fleet carrier. That would be a very interesting experiment to see.
You can. You can absolutely. So it's actually not even hard to earn a profit with fleet carrier. I can tell you right now how to make money with the fleet carrier. You can do the route of, you know, like really busting your hump and going through the whole process of like, I'm going to stock this and I'm going to do that. And you can play Walmart floating space Walmart. You could do that. That's the hard way. And for some people, maybe like an enjoyable or interesting way to earn money. Here's the dead easy way that any idiot can earn money with a fleet carrier. Fly to places and go to a spot and jump around that spot in 8 or 9 or 10 different systems and buy 25,000 of a commodity for cheap. Make a jump, 300 light years away, and now jump around in an area, find an area that has a bunch of different systems where you can sell that same commodity for a lot of money and go out and just massively, you could do that.
So you're thinking, but that's, you're still playing that. You'd be, let's say you pick up Imperial slaves dirt cheap and then fly off and sell 25,000 Imperial slaves somewhere else.
You could do that, or if you wanted
whatever.
if you wanted to go to an outbreak system, or you wanted to go to a blight system and have ergonomic treatments, and just literally you could be doing a massive service for that system. You could be saving them from, hey, you're in blight, you need massive numbers of ergonomic treatments. Here it is, and all of it, I'm earning a 400% profit. You could very quickly pay for a fleet carrier that way.
But
now,
wouldn't that be coming out of your, unless other people are buying these things from you? Wouldn't that be coming out of your own pocket?
no, you can go and sell that to the market. You can buy it from the market cheap in system A that has very little use to it, and sell it. It's arbitrage. It's a very simple process.
Yeah, but are you selling it, or are other people buying your market?
You're selling it. You're literally hopping to that spot,
you're using
getting in your ship and flying to a station and unloading 1,000 at a time.
Okay, so you're basically, you've got a 25,000 ton cutter or something like that, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, you're making you're literally loading up in one spot. You're doing 25 trips in one spot to fill up that whole hold. Yeah. Then you jump across, and then you unload. And with 1,000 in your ship, you can literally get 26,000, because you can put a fully loaded up, like just a stupid loaded cutter to just holding goods to the rafters, and then just do 25 trips to unload. Is it sort of, to my personal use or personal thought, is that sort of boring? Yeah. Could you accomplish the same thing faster mining if you wanted to? Yeah. Is this a thing that, some people will find emergent gameplay and they'll have fun? They'll get together a group of people and they'll basically make their own sort of player-run community goals and go do stuff just because that's what they enjoy. They're having fun. They're whatever. Yeah, maybe. Sure. Whatever.
Why not?
Like, cool. Whatever. Yeah. But I think I've brought you around to the point where tell me if I'm wrong, but I think you're now saying I don't have a problem with upkeep cost so long as it's reasonable. I have a problem with the decommissioning system, which is that's a separate argument.
Depending on what, I have no problems with upkeep costs.
Let's put it this way.
As it's being actively used.
Yeah, let me put it this way then. So I've brought you at least to the point where you're saying, I'm okay with upkeep costs if I'm actively playing. I'm not okay with upkeep costs if I'm not actively playing. Is that fair?
I mean, that's fair. I mean, I think, like, for example, in Grand Theft Auto, you can have all these different things, but you only get charged for every 40 minutes or something like that while you're actually playing the game. If you don't play the game for 3 weeks, you're not coming back and facing a 5,000 credit bill.
Well, okay, but there's a difference. You're comparing apples and oranges, and here's why they're different. Because in Grand Theft Auto, if you're not logged in and playing, your friends aren't using that car or that thing. Yeah. So we have to extricate those two things. You're making a sort of a not one-to-one argument. But I still get what you're making.
Way of making money, though, but still you doing stuff. I'm flying my carrier, buying cheap, selling high. Sure. Buying low, selling high.
Sure.
Using it as a jump to get somewhere. I'm using it.
Yeah.
Whereas if I'm away for a couple of weeks or I ain't playing the game, then I ain't doing that. I ain't filling it up.
Sure.
No one's... the best I could be would be to park it somewhere where maybe some mug will buy my Palladium at 400% markup and go off and sell it to a station at 405% markup.
That's a pipe dream. It's not going to happen, and even if it did, it wouldn't cover the costs. So let's throw that away. That's not even a thing. But so here's the thing. So not basically, every asset.
I'm just saying that after 3 weeks,
sure.
In GTA, I've not paid anything. 3 weeks GTA, if I'm not doing anything, then I've got 60 million credit bill for doing nothing.
So let's look at that, because here is my suggestion. Because I think if now you've said already you agree with the idea of upkeep cost if it's active. So now let's look at the inactive argument. What I feel Frontier should look at doing, the decommissioning process is a bad look. I understand what they're trying to attempt to sort of do, and I agree with it. You don't want to have a ton of just, what do you call it? Derelict. There you go. You don't want to have a ton of derelict fleet carriers just clogging up the systems and whatever if they're not being used. You have to figure out a way to get rid of it. I say keep the decommissioning exactly how it is and let people just lose their shit, but give them a parachute. And here's the parachute. The parachute is a voluntary dry dock. And here's what a voluntary dry dock entails. Step 1, you take your ship to a administration system, okay? Step 2, you mothball it. You literally click a button and you still get charged all of the same upkeep costs just like you would until the next tick. Once that tick happens, that ship is dry docked, which means that you cannot put anything in the cargo hold or take anything out. You cannot access any of the services. You cannot use it. It's not there. Now, in game, you can say for immersion or lore purposes, you could say, they rented it out to someone else. Or you could say it is just mothballed and the crew went out and they're working on other ships. They're doing their thing. You can say whatever you want, but basically the player has an ability to say, I am going to be away or not using this product for an extended period of time, right? So I'm just not going to be, I'm going on distant worlds, whatever. Let's say I like to use my carrier to be floating Walmart man, right? So I have to work it. My buddy says, oh, dude, come with us. We're doing Distant Worlds 3. We're going to go away for 7 months. I can say, okay, so the way other people might say, cool, you put your fleet carrier out with the DSSA or whatever. But let's say you choose not to. You say, well, I don't want to play that way with my carrier. I like to play floating Walmart man. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to dry dock it, put it away, right? Like I said, you get charged the upkeep up until the tick. Once the tick happens, that freezes. That's done. Now other people cannot use your carrier. So it's just the same way as when you quote decommission a ship and everything gets thrown to the local administration system or whatever, and other people can for free get their ships from there, but they can't use your carrier, they can't buy things, they can't sell things, they can't trade. The decommissioning process, part of it is your wallet gets emptied back out. The ship has no wallet, it's now back in your wallet. Anything that you have stored on that ship, you have to get it out, sell it, do whatever. Hey, I wanted to use it. No, you don't get a free storage facility. You got to fucking pay rent on that shit. If you want to have your fleet carrier stop charging you any money, you have to empty that shit out. You have nothing on that ship anymore. The system remembers that you still have a ship and whatever, but it's not on the server, it's not active, it's not anywhere. You can go away for a week, for a month, for 6 months, for 5 years, whatever. And then at any point, you can go back and click a button that says, do you want to pay, I don't know, 50 million? Or do you want to pay 10 million? Let's just pick a number. Do you want to pay 20 million? Whatever. Do you want to pay 20 million right now to reactivate that ship from the dry dock? You click the button, you reactivate that ship, And there's a little bit of a pain point. You don't get it back right now because we want to discourage people from using this willy-nilly from the standpoint of like, oh, I'm going to save money by turning it off until I log back on tomorrow. Like, no. To dry dock it, you have to put it away starting at the next tick. And to pull it out from dry dock, you have to pay a fee and you get it back starting at the next tick. So if you're a person who is actively using it, the cost is whatever. If you're a person that's going away for a year, 2 years, 3 years, 6 months, 8 months on Distant Worlds 3, you could do that. That gives you, now, if you don't do anything, your ship still gets decommissioned, whatever, so that like the people that just refuse, that are like, nah, fuck you. How about I'm just going to hang out here like a gangster? Well, you're going to lose your shit because guess what? When you make a huge investment, when you buy a house, you need to make sure you keep those mortgage payments up. When you buy a massive asset, you got to make sure that you handle it properly. But the people that plan, the people that are smart, the people that say, as a responsible owner, I'm not going to be using this for the next 6 months, or 3 weeks, or 10 weeks, or whatever, can go through a process where it gets it off the server. It's not clogging shit up for Frontier and the Galaxy, but you're not being punished for what you have what you've responsibly said, I'm not going to use for this time period. What do you think?
I think you're actually saying something that I was saying about 3 weeks ago. So I'm finding somebody to disagree with you. I think you failed there. Sorry, mate.
All right.
I think you thought it through a bit more than I was even trying to. Yeah, I was just like, okay, just give me a mothball button and that takes it off. Whereas what you're saying, I think makes a lot more sense. I can't decide if I want to make people fly back to the place to mothball it or not. I think it makes a lot of sense. But then
How about this? Because I get what you're saying, because it's like, what if I have some kind of a thing and I'm 19 jumps away? How about this?
Yeah.
How about you can either A, go back to the place where you mothball it for X%, or B, you have a button that and it's like, okay, it's going to charge you this much money. It's going to cost you a little extra, but it'll make the 32 jumps back to wherever, and it'll be ready in the mothball process. You're still going to have to go back there to get it out, but you pay an extra surcharge, and the moving crew comes and gets your ship and just instantly moves it back to a station.
If they could do it so it isn't instant, so much the better.
Whatever.
Make it so it takes. Yeah, if your ship is over at Colonia, make it so that it takes 7 hours to get back to wherever you can buy, wherever the nearest place you can buy a ship from.
Sure, but the magical moving ferries show up with massive amounts of, like, 30 ships show up full to the gills with tritium to, like, okay, we've got the gas, we'll get you back,
you had to pay
but it's going to cost you the cash. Yeah, fair.
Yeah, I have no issue with that. If I'm, as we just basically said, if I take the time and effort to return to a place, I don't get charged that, and then it gets switched off. Fair enough. If on the other hand I'm out of the back of Beyond and like, you know what, I need to, I've got to death the family even, anything. I have to leave now. Yeah. Then I pay, as you say, I pay the moving ferries. They fly my ship back to where it needs to be. And then then it goes into the decommissioning process. That seems fair enough to me.
But getting back to the kernel of this, because the people that are making the argument to say get rid of all upkeep costs are hiding behind the one argument of what if I go away for a year?
Yeah.
And that's fine. This process, this mothball option, I think sort of
this is exactly why I was like, okay, fine. If you've got to have some kind of ongoing charge with it, then you need a off switch.
But you're still couching that. Yeah. You're still couching that argument, saying you need a
mothball switch, as you say.
Yeah. Okay. Agree. I agree.
I want to apologize to Luke, and Dav here slightly, because I think they're, well, you know what's a really great idea? We'll allow you to go into billions of credits of debt. Sorry, guys, that's not a good idea. It's a shit idea. It's a negative. It's a negative idea. It's something that people will hate.
How about I don't even apologize. I don't apologize to Luke and Dav for that because I don't think it was their idea. They're the guys they code the shit that they're told to code. I don't think Luke or Dav.
Well, Luke's the designer, so he must have had something in there. I'd imagine.
Luke's job is to make this stuff run. They give him the numbers. As Dav said it specifically, Dav said, the job of the designer is we give you a spreadsheet and we give you these art assets and we say, make it work. But that intrinsic in that, they gave him the spreadsheet. Luke didn't decide how much they jump. He was told, program it this way. Luke didn't decide how much the upkeep costs. Luke didn't decide how the decommissioning process works. He was told, make it work this way and just...
I think Dav is the developer. And so, I'm applying my knowledge of at least development industry slightly here. So in my thing, we've got business analysts who essentially act as an interface between the customer and the developers. And the business analysts are the equivalent of designers in Frontier. So they will have had a directive from somebody saying, we need whatever. But then they have to figure out what that person actually means and turn it into a concrete set of requirements that says, right, when this, do this. And
a lot of times, man, those directives come with numbers. Make this work at this percent, make that work like this. But we don't know, and we'll never know. But the fact of the matter is you're still couching your statement with, quote, if you must have an ongoing cost, then at least give the mothball idea. I'm pushing you right now because I don't think that is entirely an honest statement. I think if you're being entirely honest, the statement should read, yes, for sure have a mothball thing, but take the mothball issue out. Let's say they give you mothball right now. Is it better to have a fleet carrier in a game, from a gameplay perspective, for balance and for, like we've talked about earlier, the fact of like, if you can't lose, what's the fucking point? Let's say mothball, you have it. You've got your magical mothball button, as we've discussed, all the stuff that we just discussed.
The stuff, so you get penalized if you have to fly it back and all that.
Yeah, fine. All that. We got it. It's fixed. Done. Yep. Now let me ask you. Upkeep cost. Should it be there or not?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm just saying, take the couching out of it of saying, if you must charge upkeep costs. No, you should charge upkeep costs. It makes it a better game. But those upkeep costs, A, should not be unreasonable, which they've already fixed that part, and B, should not be sort of...
You shouldn't be penalized
There needs to be a mechanism. There needs to be a mechanism to handle inactive use. Or inactive ownership. And the mothball... The whole thing we just hashed out, I think 100% addresses that.
Yep.
Awesome.
Sorry if you wanted a disagreement here.
I think we started disagreeing, and I think we came out in the end.
I mean, you're saying things that I've been having in discussion in the LAVE radio crew and things like that.
Okay.
And I mean, I've been saying you fleshed out by vague ideas. But I never even attempted to. It's just like, we've got this mothball, we've got this ongoing cost. I understand why that is. I can accept that. What I don't accept is being penalized for not playing the game.
I get you. I agree. I said flat out, number one, the upkeep costs were way too high. They needed to be balanced. Done. Number two, I strongly believe that Frontier should take a second pass at that decommissioning process and either A, change it entirely to this mothball option thing, or B, keep it as is, but include the mothball thing so that it there is a way to sort of handle that better.
I mean, this was briefly covered, and very, very briefly covered when they were on the show. And it sounded like there couldn't be. I think I just said it as could there be an off switch? In fact, let me see if I can find.
No, I remember it being said, but they also said at that point that these are reasonable numbers for upkeep, and they also said that who knows if we could add universal cartographics. If so, it could take months. Nobody knows. A lot of things has changed since then. When they're on here, they're representing the company. They're told more or less what they're going to say, and they're doing their job as well. They should, that doesn't preclude the fact that reasonable minds can figure out ways around things. All right.
Yeah. I want to just find, because I'm sure they said that it couldn't be done for technical reasons.
They also said that you couldn't lower the jump time, and they also said that you couldn't add universal cartographics easily. There's
different levels of couldn't.
Yeah. And I just from a standpoint of common sense, I'm going to go ahead and say, if they wanted to, they could do it.
Yeah. In development, nothing is impossible.
There you go. All right. I feel like we've covered this. I feel like we're coming out of this. I know this is a super unpopular opinion, and I feel like I'm probably going to just do nothing but draw massive hate in the comment section.
Almost
but
definitely.
when I feel that something is, I'm very. Remember that from what was it from Captain America, where it's like, it doesn't matter if the whole world is telling you, it's wrong. If you feel in your heart that it's right, you just look at them and say, no, you move.
Yeah. So I've actually found the question that we had. So why decommissioned or delete the carrier rather than just mothball it for reactivation at any time? And it was very, very briefly and flippantly said because of technical reasons.
Sure.
And I think if there really is some technical issue, why they can't have a fleet carrier A is mothballed and sitting in there, then they should have at least got off and said, right, well, you have invested 7 billion credits into your fleet carrier. Here's 6,500,000,000 credits back after decommissioning it. Yeah, and I mean after voluntarily decommissioning it, or whatever you want to call it. This whole, you go for, if you've waited, 4 weeks or 6 weeks or something like that, and you only get, out of that initial 5 billion, you get 500 million back. That's a piece of shit.
Okay,
I think I don't really think that's taking the piss.
Yeah, but guess what? This is a beta process.
Yeah, so all figures are.
It's not. Yeah. I would,
but going with
bet
the initial figures,
money that process is not the process that exists in June. If you would like to take me up on that bet, then let's do it.
Bet,
if not,
I completely agree.
Yeah. Okay. So there's no point in making an argument based on a system that we both completely agree is not going to survive.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to make the issue about upkeep costs. There's people that say, I can't stand it, get rid of it. And there's people that say, it doesn't piss me off that much. I'm actually saying, it's a good thing. Think it through.
Yeah. There needs to be some kind of penalty to having these things. I think Frontier already said they want them to be credit sinks in-game. There is a slight concern, though, about that with Frontier. If Frontier are going to start playing with the game's economy, then you need a bloody economist on staff to actually help you deal with that.
And
but we'll see how that goes.
That's a whole other issue for a whole other show. But for now, thank you very much, Ben, for coming on.
Thanking you, sir.
Having this chat. I think, I don't know. I think more people need to sort of open their eyes. Don't take what I'm telling you as gospel. If you disagree, think it through and get a hold of me and tell me why you disagree. But also, don't just listen to some other people who are spewing out, venom whatever, and just don't be a drone, man. Think for yourself. Look at the problem. Tell me why I'm wrong. Or if you can't, allow for the possibility that I'm right. Open your mind, think for yourself. All right, guys, good night.
Night.
You come so far, and now you're in my own backyard. And I've been minding on my own business, minding all the stones I can see. It all revolves around me. You've turned the fool. Before you even scanned me, I knew. 'Cause I've been minding all my own business, minding all the stones I can see. But now you've come for me. Put away your guns, put away your threats and your taunts, they don't mean that much to me. Put away my boy, don't come here no more, or you'll find out there's much more to me. Would quickly drop the pain and fly. But I got something in my heart for you, something that you might wanna see. I'll set the baby free, oh, don't be fooled. This top 10 ain't no big heavy mule. Oh, it's been engineered to death for you. Hope you'll be impressed as your shields fall to hell, boy. Put away your guns, put away your threats and your taunts, they don't mean